You are listening to the Life Coaching Secrets Podcast, episode number 21. Did you know that life coaches are needed now more than ever? I'm Frank Macri, founder of Thriving Coach Academy. I've trained over 1,000 coaches and helped them launch their own successful coaching businesses. If you want to make an incredible income and impact as a coach and have a lot of fun doing it, I'll show you exactly how to get it done. This is Life Coaching Secrets. What's up, coaches? In this episode, I'm going to talk about goals behind goals. But before I do that, hello. It's been a little bit of time since my last episode was published, and we have so much to catch up on. I want to thank you all who have listened to this podcast. We have had thousands of downloads, and I appreciate all of you so much. If you are brand new here, if you're just tuning in for the very first time, welcome. This is a podcast for life coaches and aspiring life coaches who are curious to learn about how to crush it in this industry. A little bit of my own backstory. I created my own multiple six-figure life coaching business when I was in my 20s, and I realized from getting into coaching at such a young age that I didn't have my life experience that I could rely on when it came to coaching people, but I was able to develop a particular method to coaching that can help anyone get any result they want in their life. And I was also able to figure out how to organically market my business from 0 to 100K without having to pay for ads, without needing to have some kind of large network or following. So as my own coaching business took off, I started having people reach out to me asking me how to start their own coaching businesses. So I created an accredited coach training program called Thriving Coach Academy, where we teach our coaches how to get it done. So if you haven't already checked out our first 20 episodes of this podcast, I highly recommend you do so after this one. With that being said, I have got the next 20 episodes on deck. I already know exactly what topics we're going to cover. You better get ready. We're going to take everything to the next level. I cannot wait to share these new episodes and these new concepts with you over the next few months. So since our last episode, a lot has happened. I feel like I have been running a hotel in my house. I've had many friends visit me out here in my home in Seattle. This is the best time of year to visit Seattle because the weather is so perfect. So I've had lots of friends come in and out. And actually, one of the stories I'm going to share in this episode is from a pretty insane experience that happened when some of my friends were visiting. We also have had a lot happen inside the academy. So we just welcomed a whole new group of coaches who are on their way to certification. They're doing so well. And we also have many of our other coaches that are a little bit more experienced who are enrolling clients and that are getting people booking sessions with them. We have had a few coaches book their first paying clients just being in the program for a few months. So super excited, lots to celebrate inside the academy. So in this episode, we're going to talk about goals behind goals. This is something you absolutely want to help your clients understand when they are setting their own goals. And it's also something that you want to understand for any goals that you have in your life. So to illustrate this concept, I have some questions for you. First, I want you to think about what is a goal that you have in your life. So something specific that you want to do or that you want to achieve that you have not yet achieved yet. What is a goal you have in your life? Something specific that you want to do or you want to achieve? That's the first question. The second question is, how will you feel when you achieve this goal? So how is it you are going to feel? Think of the actual emotion. So if you're thinking, oh, I would feel amazing, I'd feel great, I want you to be really specific. What's the actual emotion? Is it excited? Is it relaxed? Is it liberated? Is it free? How would you feel? And the final question is, what's your timeline that you have for this goal? So how long would you like to take before completing this goal? So maybe it's a year, maybe it's 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. What's your timeline for how long you'd like it to take you to complete this goal? All right. So I know that many of you listening are people that want to establish and launch and grow coaching businesses. So let's say maybe that you have a goal to earn $100,000 as a coach. Perfect. And let's say that maybe the feeling that you'd have when you earn $100,000 as a coach is you'd feel freedom. You'd feel a sense of freedom. And maybe the timeline you have for that is 1 year, maybe it's 3 years, maybe it's 5 years, whatever it might be. So a lot of people, when they have their goals, they have this thing that they want to achieve, and then they have a feeling that they're going to feel when they achieve that goal. And this is how so many people get stuck. So, what is your actual goal? What is it? Is it the answer that you gave to the first question, or is it something else? So your actual goal is actually not the goal that you said for the first question. Your real goal, the goal behind the goal, is whatever you answered to the second question. The feeling you want to have when you achieve the goal. That feeling is your true goal. So if you wrote freedom, if you wrote excited, joyful, energized, relaxed, peaceful, that is your goal behind the goal. That's what you ultimately want. And the good news is that you have the ability to experience that feeling right now and enjoy the process as you move towards your surface level goal. You can feel anything you want to feel just based on your thinking. Your thoughts create your emotions. So no matter where you end up, if you choose to step into the feeling right now, you'll enjoy the ride. You'll enjoy the process. You don't have to achieve a specific outer goal in your life in order to feel any certain way. And the reason why it's so important to understand this concept is because when we attach feelings onto outer goals we have in our life, when we put feelings on the other side of them, like we're hanging a carrot on a stick, it leads to so much suffering. It leads to exhaustion. It leads to stress. And the journey towards that goal feels absolutely terrible because we're feeling miserable and we're waiting to achieve that goal because then we think we could finally feel the feeling that we most want to feel. And what I'm telling you is to flip the entire script. So let me share a story with you that illustrates just how important this concept is and how it allowed for what could have been a terrible experience with my friends to actually become a really amazing experience. So I had 3 friends visit me, and we're all really into hiking. And there was this one hike that I had never been on yet called Summit Lake, okay? And it was 2 hours outside of Seattle. I knew exactly what we had to do to get there. I decided to rent us a car for the trip since we were going to be going into the mountains. So I knew that it was a 2-hour drive from where I live in Seattle. And with this particular car rental service, you had to use an application on your phone in order to lock and unlock the car. So remember that detail because it's going to become relevant later on in the story. So anyway, we get in the car. One of my friends decides to drive, and he puts Summit Lake in his phone, and it pulls up the map, and he starts driving, and I'm sitting in the back seat. And about 90 minutes into this 2-hour trip, I'm looking around, and I'm thinking, this area doesn't really look familiar. I'm really curious, where are we right now? How close are we getting to the Summit Lake Trail? So I asked my friend to pass back the phone so I could check the map, and it turns out that we were going in the completely wrong direction. And I asked him, did you put Summit Lake into the phone? And he said, yes, I put Summit Lake. So then I put it in my phone and I realized there are 2 Summit Lakes. They both were located 2 hours from our starting location, my home. One of them was located 2 hours west and one of them was located 2 hours east. And we were going to the wrong one. So immediately when we discovered this, there was no stress from anyone in our group. Immediately we were all just thinking, okay, let's just go find another place. Let's just go have fun somewhere else. Let's find another trail. Let's find another park. And let's just go and have another experience. So we decided to go to Olympic National Park, which was only about another 45 minutes or so away. So we decided to drive up there, and we were so excited. This is another beautiful part of the Pacific Northwest. And right when we get to the parking lot for the trail, so we're right out front of the trail, we see a sign that says, if you are using a rental car that uses an application, do not turn off your car because you will not be able to turn it back on. Since we were up in the mountains, there was no cell service. Now, by now, we had been driving for several hours, and we pivoted our plans to go to a whole different trail, and now we're finally at this other trail to realize we cannot turn off our car because it won't turn back on. If we turn off the car, it's going to have to get towed, which is something we didn't want to do. And the destination was right in front of us. The trail was right there. It was like we had come so far. We were so close yet so far. So one of my favorite, I felt like we were in a scene in one of my favorite movies, which is Little Miss Sunshine, that scene where they realize that they can't turn off the car and they just have to keep driving the car around, but they can't turn it off. I felt like that's what we were experiencing. So we decided that since we can't turn off the car, we might as well just go back to a lovely bridge that we saw that was just on the trail leading up to our parking lot, and just pull off to the side of the road, keep the car on, and just walk around on the bridge and take some photos. And that's what we did. We left the car for maybe 10, 15 minutes. We walked across the bridge, which was beautiful. We saw some mountains. We saw a lovely lake. And then we just drove home. We took an almost 3 to 4 hour car ride home. So between the 3 to 4 hours getting there and then another 3 to 4 hours back, we only spent around 10 to 15 minutes actually in nature. And the whole purpose of the trip was to have this amazing day hiking and just climbing up mountains and being able to enjoy some of the beautiful scenery up here in the Pacific Northwest. But even though nothing went according to plan, the entire day still felt absolutely perfect. It still felt absolutely perfect. So the next day, there was this Italian restaurant that I had been wanting to take my friends to for months. I was telling them all about it leading up to the trip. I was saying that it's one of my favorite restaurants in Seattle. And when they arrived, this is the next day, we go to the restaurant and we see a little sign on the door that says the restaurant is closed because it was 4th of July week and we didn't know that the restaurant was taking off for most of the week. So right away, we just said, okay, that's fine. We'll just go find another one. There's plenty of great food options around here. Plenty of other options. Like that's where our brains went. There was no stress. There was no disappointment. We just adapted and just went to find the next thing. And one of the things that I realized is that, wow, even though this was a plan that I had for so long, and the plan didn't go as it was as we wanted it to go, it didn't influence our experience. Our plans didn't influence any of the experience that we had over the trip. We created the experience. So when we got back home after going to another restaurant, which was lovely, we got back home, it was around 11 p.m., and our plan was to play some games, relax, unwind, and then get ready for bed. Well, we're outside my front door, and I put the keys inside the lock, and the door is not opening. The lock is not opening at all. It turns out that there was some kind of issue with my keys. So we had to call a locksmith at 11 p.m. who had to drive all the way out. By now it's dark, it's getting chilly, and the locksmith arrives and wedges some kind of device in between the door and the door frame with a tube attached to the other end of it, and then starts pumping this tube. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this man is about to blow open my door. But somehow all of the air pressure that he was pumping into the space between the door and the door frame unlocked the door. And by midnight, we're finally entering my home, completely tired, just ready to go to sleep. And the thing was, no matter what situation was thrown at our group over the trip, within that 48-hour period of all of these things happening and going wrong, we still had a blast. We still found a way to laugh. When we were waiting for the locksmith to come, we pulled out our phones, we played this really fun guessing game, and we were just cracking up the whole time. We took lots of photos. It was just game on, universe. Is that all you got? So in reflecting on the trip after my friends had left the next day, I realized that all of these plans that we had never ended up happening, but the trip was still a blast. And during the trip, I remember one of my friends worded it so beautifully. She said, "I love that it doesn't matter what we do. We're just going to have fun no matter what." And that was a thought that everyone in our group shared. We weren't attached to any of our plans. We just focused on the goal behind the goal, which was to connect with each other and have fun. And it's because we were so clear of the goal behind our goal for the trip that we were able to enjoy ourselves. The goal was not for everything to go according to plan. So even though the plans didn't happen as they were planned to happen, we still achieved our real goal of the trip, which was to connect with each other and have fun. So I want to talk about goals and attachments that people have in their life. So when I say attachment, I define attachment as having an emotional dependence that we put on things or people. Attachment is when we require that a situation be a certain way or a person act a certain way in order for us to feel a certain way. So the more attachment that we have in our life, the more we end up suffering. And the reason why is because our situations do not determine how we feel. Other people's behaviors don't determine how we feel. Our thinking determines how we feel. So the more things that you attach to in life, the more you end up suffering. You become a victim to your circumstances rather than a creator of your reality. So let me tell you something. If you're a coach listening to this and you have a plan for your coaching business, whether it be a particular program you're creating or a launch that you're going to do or some kind of social media strategy that you're going to implement, it's probably not going to work. In fact, it's probably going to be terrible. And maybe the first dozen plans that you have in order to grow your business and find clients, probably not going to work at all. But I want you to know that nothing has gone wrong if that happens. The most important thing that you can remember, coaches, is that you show up to your business knowing the difference between being attached to your plans and staying focused on your true goal. So check in with yourself right now. And if you're not a coach, you can just think of any kind of goal that you have in your life and the plan that you have in order to achieve that goal. How attached are you to that plan that you have right now, that plan you have to achieve the goal? How attached are you to it? Meaning, like, how much weight are you putting into that plan being the plan that works out? And then what's the goal behind the goal? That's another important question to ask yourself. What's the goal behind the goal? Because the goal is not for you to implement the plan. What is really the goal behind the goal? The feeling that you most want to feel. The feeling that you might be attaching on the other side of this outer goal. What do you most want to feel? And how can you feel that now so that way you actually enjoy the process? How can you feel that now so you don't get too attached to any one particular plan? That is the beauty in understanding the goal behind the goal. Because if you show up to your goals and you already are connected to the feeling you most want to feel, which might be fun, it might be freedom, it might be relaxation or peace, every plan could fall short. You're just going to generate new ones because you're just enjoying yourself so much. You're enjoying the process so much. You get so much farther when you know the goal behind the goal than if you don't. So you want to be very intentional about what is your goal behind your goal and access that now so that no matter what plans you have, you enjoy the ride. And another reason why this is so important is because as you do this, you fall more in love with yourself as you pursue your goal. You fall more in love with the process, no matter how you actually get there. So you can be committed to your goal and you can still be detached on how you get there at the same time. That is the sweet spot. That is a sweet spot to achieving any big goal that you have in your life. Being committed to the goal, like you're not letting the goal go, but you're not attached to how you're going to get there. So I want to share a few more examples of what it does look like to be committed to a goal and unattached to a plan at the same time. One of the ways you can do this is by having a plan that you're just as excited about as you are equally willing to let go of. And this especially goes for the plans that you've worked really hard on for a long time that you might just need to scrap and start over. So for example, years ago when I was running my coaching business, I had spent dozens and dozens of hours creating a whole series of videos, an entire program, and I never sold a single one of that program. Never sold a single one. Now, you might think, oh my gosh, that sounds terrible. That's the last thing I want to happen for me. That sounds like such a waste of time. But here's the thing. Nothing is a waste of time when you see everything in life as purposeful. Nothing is a waste of time when you realize that there's a divine order and timing and purpose of everything as it unfolds. So being committed to a goal and unattached to a plan allows you to trust that everything's going to work out. Everything's going to work out, even if you don't know exactly how it's going to work out, because you're just willing to adjust and adapt as you go. So a great question to ask yourself to stay committed to your goals, but unattached to your plans. One question to ask yourself is, what's the opportunity here? What's our opportunity right now? Right? Like when my friends and we realized we were going the wrong way, we just thought, what's the opportunity? The opportunity is to go to another trail. We went to this other trail, realized we can't turn the car off. What's the opportunity? Let's just go by the bridge, keep the car on, and just take some photos. Right? We realized the restaurant's closed. What's the opportunity? Let's go discover a new restaurant that we haven't been to yet. What is the opportunity here? So I'm really committed in my business right now to take it to 1 million. And I know with just every fiber in my being, like our business is going to make $1 million in a year. For sure. We are going to get there. But I am not attached to the timeline of when exactly it's going to happen or exactly how it's going to unfold. But I know that there will be a 12-month period where my business will generate at least $1 million in revenue. And I'm just having so much fun in the meantime. I'm just showing up every day and learning and thinking, what's the opportunity here? What can I learn? One of my clients, Eileen, she has this amazing thought that she came up with in one of our sessions. She said, I'm just having the time of my life. That's her attitude with her coaching business. I'm having the time of my life, right? There's so much value when you can just have that attitude towards any goal in your life. Just I'm here to have the time of my life. No matter what plans work out, what plans don't work out, I'm going to show up and I'm going to have fun. And when I get there, when I get to the $1 million mark, I know I'm not going to be saying, oh, finally I can just be happy. Finally I can relax. I'm going to be saying, wow, that was a fun ride. Let's do it again. So you have to be willing to let hundreds of your plans go to die if you want to achieve any of your big goals in your life. The bigger the goal, the more plans you have to be willing to let die in order to achieve that goal. Are you willing to do that? That's an important question to ask yourself. What would it take of you to be committed to your goal so deeply that you're willing to let 100 plans die in the pursuit of it? And in the process of that happening, you're going to have the most fun. So as I wrap up this episode, I want to talk about another goal behind the goal that people sometimes forget about. And that's who you become in the pursuit of your goals. The person that you get to become. The person that you get to discover and learn about and fall in love with in the journey of pursuing your big goals in life. I think that's what makes goals so worthwhile. Some people think, well, why bother setting goals if, it's just about a feeling that you can already access? I say, why wouldn't you set goals? You get to discover all that you're capable of. It's not about achieving the goal. It's uncovering what it really means to be fully alive in your life. Most people, they're just existing in life. They're just going through the motions. They have not experienced what it really means to be alive. And there's a huge difference from existing and being alive. So the goal behind any of our goals is to bring our lives to life, is to come alive. I know how much it can suck to have a desire for something to work out and having a plan for it, and it doesn't work out. It just completely falls flat. Believe me, I know how exhausting and disappointing that could be when things don't go according to plan, but also how beautiful that you have a plan, that you have something that you're pursuing. How amazing that you're creating plans in your life and you're moving towards those plans even if they don't work out. That you're working towards things, that you're in the pursuit of something, that you're allowing yourself to experience life as it's meant to be pursued, riding all the ups and downs that come with being human. So I asked you this in the beginning of this episode, and I'm going to ask you it again. What is your goal? What's your goal behind the goal? What is it that you really want? And how can you honor that right now so you stay committed and enjoy the ride? That's what I got in this episode on the goal behind the goal. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey, would you like access to powerful coaching tools you can use on yourself and clients right away? For being a listener of the podcast, I'm giving you a VIP guest pass to get a sneak peek into my coach training program. Inside, you'll learn our coach's secret tool they use to transform their clients' lives. And you'll also get a training on how to launch a coaching business. Just head over to www.thrivingcoachacademy.com/VIP to get started. I'll see you on the inside.